Good evening, Facebook, family, friends, YouTube, family, and friends. My name is Sheba. I am your happy bug, and I am so excited about this evening. Not that I'm not ever, but I'm really excited tonight because we're back with the ladies panel. We're here talking about how does a woman teach her children to respect a man if she's lost her respect for him? And this seemed to be like one of those touchy subjects. So I'm really excited about it tonight because as women, we tend to toggle with these issues a little bit. And so the ladies that are going to be with us this evening will be answering some of those questions as to how they look at it and see these types of issues. And then you'll have me, then I'll have something else to say about it later, but I'm going to give the ladies the floor and kind of let them give us their thoughts on it and their how-tos and what has worked for them, because we don't have all the answers as parents, and we're constantly learning how to do it properly as parents. So this is why we get together here on Talk Tuesday. So welcome. I'm so excited to see each and every last one of you guys this evening, just so that we can get some clarity or try some things that we've never tried before. So Kamisha is here with us. This is Kamisha Reed. She'll be the lady who will give us. She would jump us off tonight with her ideologies on what on how do you deal with these types of situations, because sometimes as parents I think we do things not realizing how they affect other people. And if we're in a relationship, the goal is to be respected by the other, and at least to be thought of by your mate. And as when you're going through things and things become frustrating sometimes, we get in fights with our mates. They do things to make us feel we no longer honor them, and we tend to push that over on our children. And it's not always right, because children at the end of the day still are children at the end of the day. So welcome once again. Thank you so much for tuning in with us this evening. And I'm going to just let Kamisha take the floor, and then we'll continue to talk a little bit later as we go on in our talk tonight. So Kamisha, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everybody. I think that it's most important for adults not to bring children into the situation. And if I don't have respect for a man, I don't think I would want my children to be disrespectful. I raise my children to respect all adults, whether I have respect for them or not. And I think that it's more or less how the parents parent their children. In the past, I have met a couple adults that I don't respect at all, and my children knew to keep their mouth shut and don't say nothing.
That's funny. I'm sorry. So what I so huh?
I said that's about it.
So what about with your man? Because sometimes, say it again.
I said not to involve the children. Sometimes the children may get involved, but you have to put them in their place and have them realize they're talking to an adult at the end of the day.
Right.
But again, it's how you raise the children.
Say it again.
I said it all goes to how you raise your children.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing, and what was is kind of funny, because I found myself doing saying some things to my children, even about their father, never realizing how it will really affect them. And so sometimes what happens is they come back and say things that you said, like, well, Ima, and I'm looking like, you wasn't supposed to remember that. Like at that moment, I was kind of not happy. I was a little pissed off.
I had an instance where my children repeated what I said, and I had to talk to them and tell them that what I say they don't go back and repeat. But I had to just tell the person that knew, because if we talked about it in front of each other, that I did say it. It was nothing new on how I felt, my thought process on the topic. but I did feel bad that the children had to say it, not me.
Mm. So how did the person reflect? Was this a mate or was it like a friend? Because that differentiates it.
It was a mate. It was a mate.
That's what's
So
up. Because
yeah.
hi there, we have Kika. She joined us. We're gonna get to Kika in a minute. Hi, good evening, Auntie. How you doing? She's on her route. She's on her route home. So I think sometimes it's a little bit more difficult when it comes to our mates that we have those issues with, because the children get to see so much more. Like with our friends, people that we don't just the people we don't respect anymore, the people we don't like, we tend to just kind of get rid of them and get them out of our lives in that moment. So the children may or may not see them. But with the mate, we're actually there. He's actually in the home, or it could even be a woman. It doesn't even necessarily just have to be a man, but I mean, we're a woman panel tonight, so we will be just talking about the guys. But so it tends to, and I think as people, we tend to lose respect for people after we see them do things that we don't always agree with. So our
Right.
children begin to take that that responsibility for their parents, because they feel like, wait a minute, I didn't like what he said to you and we got over it, and the children never got over it. So how do you deter them back and bring them back to where the things that they seen, they're just, how do I say that? I don't want to use the term reciprocate, but I guess that's what they're doing. They're reciprocating the dealings that we just tend, it's just like almost like that family member you told that your husband or your boyfriend is an idiot, and then all of a sudden you want them to still respect him when you've already told them for 100 times that he's an idiot. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think sometimes that dampens on our children, and it could not really be a really good thing, and it could really turn out to not be a great thing. So so for me, I think it's important that we just continue to remind our children that it's a place that they hold. And I think some parents have a hard time with that because they've been mistreated as children. So they're really particular about how they let people deal with their children. So I guess we'll continue to talk about that as the night progresses. And so since Kika joined us, I thank you so much, Kamisha. I appreciate you so much for coming on tonight and joining us and gracing us with your presence, because it's really I'm appreciative of it, and I'm sure the people who are listening are appreciative of it as well. And so we're going to give Kika the floor to kind of get her ideology on the subject matter. Hey, Auntie, let's have it. Good evening to you.
What's going on? Good evening. I couldn't find the email because it was under something else, but whatever. So, as far as a woman teaching children to respect, I don't think, if they don't have respect, how can they teach it? However, it's to me it's based on experience, because if you like with situation that I've been in, I may not respect the person as my man or my husband or boyfriend, but he may be a great father, so the kids need to respect him as a good father. If they've never done anything to him, I would not deter them from being respectful, but I will be like, it's the thing of you telling your kids to do what you say and not do what you do.
Correct.
So personally, we shouldn't be being disrespectful in front of the kids so they don't pick it up, because then that'll be something they grow up and see. Like I had a situation, I was dating this guy, and my daughter, she just loved him so much. I mean, she had like a nickname for him and everything, and she was just all about him until he yelled at her one day. And when he yelled at her, she just lost, I guess, respect everything. She just ain't like him no more. She was ready for me to get rid of him. And I've had those situations where my kids would see the guy and everything would be okay, but one little thing they see would be like that throws the whole towel in. So I tend to let my kids just go off of their experience and what they how they feel. I can love them and respect them and care about them, but they may not like them at all.
So what happens when they don't want to respect him? How do you handle that? Considering that you've decided that you're going to stay. So
I'm staying, and I'm being respectful, and they're not, or I'm being disrespectful. And then
it doesn't matter. Either way.
Well, if he's not doing anything to them or hasn't done anything to them, I would say, I would still try to talk to them just to try to give them that opportunity to like be respectful. If he hasn't done anything, he hasn't gone out his way to, do any malice towards them or anything where they can't or feel like they can't respect him, then I would try to encourage it, but I won't like force it on them. I won't be like, you got to, you need to, this is what you have to do. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling them, hey, if he ain't done anything to you, then, try to, show some respect.
So as a parent, well, I would say as a parent, because at the end of the day, if he's not the biological father, they're our children, right? So as a parent, is that not our job to make sure that they're always respectful? I mean, because you have some situations with guys where they are different with the children when you're not around. So it's kind of hard, I guess, sometimes. But given the circumstances, rather they feel it's necessary to respect him or not, it's not. Do you think it's your duty as a mother to force them to be more respectful, even if they don't want to? Because at the end of the day, where does their place lie? Like, children, by my definition, should always be children, and adults are gonna be adults. So now we have our own lanes and our own places, right? So how do you tell your children that this is what's gonna happen, in spite of what you might possibly think, and then you can deal with it on the other hand? Do you think that's not your duty as a mother?
It's my duty as a mother to teach them right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, too, I'm looking what kind of level of respect. If they like, hey, John, my nigga, what's up? Or, what level of disrespect are they showing? If they just don't like him, so, they just pulling back. Like, it depends on the level of disrespect. You're not going to be like talking to nobody any kind of way. You're not going to cuss nobody out. You're not going to have that level of disrespect. And that's just period. With any adult, I'm not letting y'all do that and just run over people. But if they, have some type of reservations because they don't like him, maybe because he ain't their dad, even if my child was to say, hey, you ain't my dad. Some people think that's disrespectful. I don't. I mean, that ain't your dad. And depending on what he's trying to do or how he's trying to be, that's just how I feel about it. Kids, we, as parents, sometimes we put our children in these positions. They're not asking to be in it. And respect to me is no matter what, it's still earned. It's not, you're not just going to be handing it out. And I even, tell kids that too. If somebody disrespecting you or you don't feel like, they're treating you right, you don't have to show them the level of respect to where they're able to take advantage of you. Because sometimes we'll be telling our kids, you need to, when he tell you to do this, you do that, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm just going to speak truth. And then he molesting them or beating them or doing something he ain't got no business, because we done told them kids, you better respect him. If he tell you to do this, you better do that. And he is an adult. So that's why I don't believe in, forcing kids to respect. I let them
their own conclusions.
Until you turned around, something happened.
My bad.
There you go. We can't hear you.
If they don't, feel comfortable with certain things, then okay, no. But just, just talking to them any kind of way, being that type of disrespectful is a no-no.
Right. Because when I think disrespect, I don't know that I think there are levels to disrespect. I do. So let me not say that. But some children, no matter what, they want their mom and their dad together in spite of what the situation might be. And it's just what makes people who they are. They want what's theirs to be together. And so sometimes there could very well be that there was created a problem when there was really no problem at all. But because
for some reason I can't hear. I think that phone call threw me off. Give me a second.
Okay. Hey, Tasha. Can you hear us now, Auntie?
Okay, I can hear now.
Yeah, because you were sounding a little bit different too.
Somebody was calling me.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, so I think that, like, for me, my children gets no choice in the matter at all, zero. But I fight for my children in a way that they know that they better do exactly what I say to do. Now, if someone does something to them that is what they consider by their definition to be unfair or wrong, they know that those battles belong to me. So they never have to take that into their hands. And I know sometimes as mothers, we tend to, a lot of mothers, let me not say all mothers, but I know as mothers sometimes we tend to not really want to kind of ruffle the situation. But for me, my children should never be fighting for themselves, especially when I've chosen to be in this relationship with this individual. You know what I mean? But I'm a little nutty. I fight in front of my children if it's for them. I'm one of those type of moms. But I will whoop my children's ass too. Because to me, that's not their place. And to me, they don't get to choose how they want to treat the individual. So that's just me and my ideologies. And it's really bad in a lot of situations, but when the children are being molested by their stepfathers and uncles or whatever the case might be. So I guess it all depends upon the situation, but I think by all means, children should never, ever, ever have the right to make that decision. And I guess that's what makes people different. So I really value that difference. I really value that. So Tasha, hey Tasha. So I'm gonna get back to you guys too, Kamisha and Auntie. We'll get back to you guys. So we're gonna let Tasha give us her ideology, and then we'll just kind of go back around the room and kind of see exactly where we agree or disagree with each other's reference and what we can do to be better. Because to me, like I said earlier, for those of you who are just joining, we as people and parents, we're always learning. There's always something we can learn to make parenting a little bit better. I don't know if it ever really makes it easier, but there's always things that we could do to make it better or try that might be better in a situation. So we're not therapists and we don't have all the answers, and every child to me was a little bit different. Every experience with every child for me was a little bit different. So we're only here to share those ideas with one another. Please utilize your comment section and send us questions that you might have or ideologies that you might have that maybe we never touched on, because you will help someone else at some point. At least that's the plan anyway. So we're going to turn the floor over to Tasha and let her talk to us. So It's and thank you, Auntie, too, by the way, for joining us. And so we'll give the floor to Tasha.
Good evening, everyone. I just think that respect has to be earned, you know, and a lot of times when we as women are dating someone or engaged to be married or whatever, sometimes it could be jealousy on both ends. Maybe the guy is jealous, maybe the children are jealous, you know, you just never know. So you just have to ask each individual, not probably around each other or then away from each other, because they might not even be honest when they're around the person because they may be afraid that they're going to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever. It goes both ways. It depends on the upbringing of the man and the child, or, you know, or just the past of, like, I'll say how they were raised, how the guy was raised or whatever. But let me see. You just really don't know until you speak with someone or what they really have on their heart, or how they feel, or actually what they went through in a previous relationship. They could be bringing garbage from another relationship and treating my children how they treated someone else's kids because they thought, oh, that's, you know, they may not like me or whatever. You know, everyone has their own thoughts on how they would, how can I say this? I'm nervous.
Don't be, you're talking to us.
Yes, but other people are watching. But no, I just feel like respect has to be earned, because a lot of times you have men that are jealous of the children. You know, they just feel like, oh, they're in the way, or the kid is being disrespectful, or they're just doing a bit much, like, you know, trying to get the mom's attention. You just don't know. Every household is different. Every person is different. I just feel like when you talk to someone and explain to them how you feel, or this is what it's going to be, you know, but I don't think a child should be disrespecting an adult. Now, sometimes adults provoke children, and they can be doing things when you're not around. You can be, you probably go to the store, leave your son or daughter there, and they'll be doing little things that they won't do in front of you. You know, it can go anyway. You just never know. So that's why it's great to just speak, you know, ask the child how do they feel, and then speak to the guy you're dating or a female, whoever. I don't know. It all depends.
That's really funny. You brought
There's
up a
no
moot
booklet
point.
that comes with this. You just
right.
You don't know.
You said something that was really vital, and you said jealous. It's what's really bad is we do have these guys, and I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's from their mothers that raised them. I don't know if it's their absent fathers that put them in that position. I don't know exactly what causes the issue to be the issue. But like for me, I always say I pay a lot of attention to my children in any situation. Because even if I'm hanging out at my friend's house, like I'm always watching the children, because I'm always assuming that anything could go wrong. Yeah. So if anything were to start to transpire, or that man is doing something wrong, or whatever the case might be, I'm always making sure that whatever the one-up is, I'm not allowing it to be. And when it comes to jealousy, I had that issue in my marriage. And my husband's ideology was, oh, fuck that. And it was sad because he was not a bad guy. He just had his issue, right? He had some issues in his mind that weren't always good and copacetic. And he thought that I wanted to be with my son's dad. So when I hugged him, he thought that you want to be hugging his daddy. And I'm laughing now because the first time the fool told me that, I laughed at him then. And I said, you know, you got to be a goddamn idiot if you think for 2 seconds that I would leave someone to only wish that I was with them through their son. Like, that's kind of goddamn stupid. But no, but at the time, I didn't think like, no, is he really hurting? I didn't think about that. Oh, I bet you was crazy, and I snapped on him because I thought it was really goddamn stupid. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But people have been through some things.
Yep. That's why I say each household is different.
Yeah.
Each person is different. I mean, I was raised in a house where I had a stepfather. You know, it started off great, but then it ended really bad. So my mom, she always had an eye, and she always asked me questions, you know, did such happen, you know, whatever, because she would be at work, I would get out of school, he would be there. So she just always questioned me about it. And then I was in a relationship where my kids had their stepfather, whatever, but I didn't have that problem because he was just a different type of guy. You know what I mean? So he never, he had a great relationship with my children. It was no drama. Like, you know, nothing was perfect, but I didn't really have that problem. But I know people that are going through that now. I know someone, I would say she's putting her man before her child because she's kind of like not there for her. She's not showing her love. I mean, I don't really want to go into detail, but it's some real deep.
No, I like that.
I
don't want you to go in.
And they're.
I don't want you to go in detail about her, but I want you to expound a little bit about putting that man before that child. That was a good
affecting her
direction.
It's affecting the child because this child came to me, you know, and said that she's tired of living, you know, and it was sad. And I had to go to her mom. I'm like, look, what's really going on? And a lot of stuff I didn't know about, you know, and I see where the problem is. The mom is bullheaded. The daughter's bullheaded. You know what I mean? They've been going through this for a while, and I'm just now stepping into this. And these are my family members. But I just feel like something's going to have to give. This man, you're going to have to, I don't care how much money he's giving you. Some people, they'll stay in relationships just for financial reasons, you know? And that's crazy to me. Like, I mean, I understand it, but still, something's going to have to give because my child is always going to be here. Okay, she's gone.
I'm not gone. I hear you. Keep talking. Don't stop.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, my child is always going to be in my life, but there's a certain level of respect you're going to show me, you know, and this man, and I'm going to let him know you cannot come in my house running things or whatever. It's just not going to work like that. Everybody going to have to show one another respect, and especially as a young adult in my house, you know. Now, a minor is, you know, kind of different, but when they become 18 and older and they feel like they can try to run my house and run my man or whoever I have there, whatever, I just feel like it's a certain level of respect you have to give. And, you know, if you want to be grown, just leave. But I feel like sometime like this child, she feels like her mom is allowing this man, putting this man before her. But then I sat and I was around him and she disrespected her mom, and I told her that's not right. You don't speak to her like that. And if he says something slick to you, you need to go to your mom before you even try to say something slick to him or curse him out or whatever. You know? So that's why I say every household is different. I didn't go through that in my household with my son because I had already laid the laws down as they were growing up. They weren't disrespectful, period, to their teachers, aunts, whoever. So they knew, they just gave him respect. So I think it started off great when he saw that they were respectful children. He didn't have a problem treating them with respect as well. That's why I say it has to be earned.
Right. I think that's a really good point, and I'm gonna go to Patricia's question. Patricia said, "Why even stay if you lost respect for him?" That's the one thing that we're supposed to have for men and not love. Yeah. And that's a really it's a really, really good one because sometimes it's just a level of respect that you don't have, and it ain't always easy to walk away to where you're just letting go of relationships and relationships just
Yeah.
on the cusp. Because then at some point how do you maintain self? Things happen between husband and wives that sometimes make you feel like you've lost respect. And some things you just don't no longer really want to do, but does that really mean that you have to leave? If he's not doing anything particularly to the children, then the respect that you've lost for him shouldn't affect the level of respect that the children should hold for the man. But sometimes our children are just like they're little people, and they tend to want to express themselves based on how they see you express yourselves. And some places don't belong to them. That's not their position. So even if you don't have a whole high regards or respect for him, it doesn't always mean that you should allow your children to disrespect him at all. Because if he's doing something to the children that's that bad, and you feel that it warrants anything other than you taking care of it, then maybe you should walk away, but not just because you lost this amount of respect you used to hold for. Like some things my husband used to do that made, well, let me be more frank. My husband were really good with my sons. And he still was okay with them once we started having children together. But it was at a point I realized that he loved them. He didn't love them the way that I thought he did. And I wouldn't know that until I started having children with him. So not necessarily that his love for them changed. It wasn't until we started having babies that I realized he just didn't love them the way I thought he did. So now my respect level will change because I thought that you were feeling something or something that you really weren't. And it's not one of those questions that you could ever just ask the answer to. You can't say, hey, do you really love them? Because then that's assuming that they don't. And that's not always fair. So when I lost some of that respect, it was on that basis. But he wasn't mistreating the kids, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
It makes sense because just like I said, in my relationship, I didn't have those problems, but I know people that did. And
right.
A lot of times men will just, they're great pretenders. People are great pretenders. You know, and eventually sometimes it comes out later on, like when you're on bad terms or at the end of the relationship, you know, they'll speak what they really felt. I'm sorry for having these people in your
It's okay.
video, but I'm here waiting on someone. Yeah, I'm waiting on someone. Yeah, so it's just it's different for everybody. You know, everybody has a story about their relationship, whether it's good or bad. You know, so it's all in how it's the mindset of someone, like you said. How you talking about Gary? How he was crazy. Why would he think like that? You know,
right?
I don't know. It's just it varies. You just never know how someone's thinking.
What about you? Right. What about you, Kamisha or Auntie? What do you guys have to say in those regards? And earlier, Auntie, I saw you make a gesture about something Tasha said. So let's talk. Kamisha, you take the floor.
Who mom put their men first, and I grew up that way. All my life, my mama put her man first, and I grew up with the mindset of having a lot of resentment and making sure that I am not that type of person when it comes to my children. Any kids, to me, comes first, regardless of the relationship. So when it comes to my husband, now me and my husband together, we have 8 children. I have some grown children, and everyone, I agree to a certain extent when you said they respect is earned. I beg to differ a bit. I think respect when it comes to children is automatically given. It should be given regardless. And again, it goes back into parenting. Now, once they lose that respect, now you as a parent has to have, even though you lost respect for the person too, have to keep reminding them that these are adults. And I feel like even though I lose respect for people and I distance myself from people, I don't want my children to do the same thing from that person, because that person done something to me necessarily didn't mean that they did something to my children. But on the same token, when it comes down to earning, it's going to be a fight just to get the kids to respect them. Now that you lost respect yourself, they're going to see things one side. They're going to say, hey, this is what you did to my mama, so I don't like you either.
Yeah, and children lose that respect for their own parents, for their own father sometimes, for the things that he does.
Well, let me tell you something. I was terrified of my mama. I lost respect for her because I knew she put her man first before any of her 5 children. Her man come first. And I lost respect for her, but growing up, I have never told her. I finally told her how I felt 2 years ago. I told her how I felt. And I told her I was okay with her not talking to me no more. But I had to tell her, this is what I felt. This is how I felt growing up. This is what I see. And it seemed like it was a pattern on a consistent basis, no matter what man she with. Unfortunately.
So just who she was.
Exactly.
But what does it mean when she puts her man first? Because I hear people say that a lot. So what does that term mean to you?
It means that me as a person, I'm not important. Let me give you an example of what happened. I'm going to give you a very good example.
Okay.
I was one of those children that was molested at a very young age, 5, 13, 11. I was molested multiple times by different men. And when I told my mama, this is what's going on, this is what happened to me, my mama didn't believe me because of that man. She was so in love. She's like, oh no, he could never do that. You know, he take you to the store and he buys you stuff, and she goes on and on about all the stuff that his man does for me. Now they got children together, but this is what this man is doing for me. And when I got older, I think I was 18, 19, they separated. And the new wife now told me before she became wife, you and him, it won't be no more back and forth between y'all two. She asked, did he ever touch you? Tell me, because the way he talks about you, he shouldn't be talking about you the way he's talking to me about you if he raised you from when you were little. I've been through it before, but it just gears me to be on the lookout when it comes to mine. I'm always on the lookout. I'm always watching. I'm always listening. Yeah, if I lose respect and my kids have something to say, or they lose respect for a man, we're going to sit down and have a talk about it. I respect people that I show respect, people that I don't respect at all. I think there's some people that's just plain old fools. They fools and they raise fools. And even though I feel that way, when I see them, I don't act that way. I keep my mouth shut and keep my distance.
You got me stuck a little bit right there. That kind of fucked my head up a little bit. And I always take my hat off to people who's been through those things. So it hurts actually that you actually have had to go through that. It touches me deeply in my soul, because if my children ever told me about anybody fucking with them, I'm gonna fuck that bitch up so bad. We gonna have a real serious problem. And I might not kill him. I'm just gonna leave that bitch with some shit to remember. I'm gonna fuck him up. He might not be able to use that thing no more. And if he touched you, I might take his hand off, just so he can be sure that he won't do that same shit he did to mine to nobody else. So I'm I want to use the term sorry, but sorry is it's not always good to use, and it's a disheartening feeling. And I hear it so many times from young ladies that their mothers didn't believe them. And I just always wonder from a mother's standpoint, what does that do? I think a lot of times with people, they become very embarrassed, and they've been through their own battles and their own struggles in life. And now it's like the one thing that seems to matter to me a lot, I have to lose it too. So I think it becomes a, why do I have to lose again, as opposed to really technically putting that person before the children. And I think it comes across like that because that's the way children decipher things. And I think that people don't talk to children enough. And in our cultures, as huge people of melanin, we tend to tell our children that, like, just do exactly what I tell you to do, and don't do anything different. Like, I get that, because I'm really strict with my children as far as them listening, but then I pay attention to, I watch a lot of movies, and sometimes I just want to know if that work. So I've changed my parenting pattern sometime, just to kind of see if what I saw can really happen and really work. And it does work. It worked a lot for me with my children, because it makes them trust you. And I don't know that a lot of parents really understands how important it is for your children to trust you. And it might just be culturally that people of melanin were raised like that, and they don't tend to make those changes. They don't do every fucking thing else they mama said, but they're gonna do that one thing only, the way that she said to do it. And so it's really, that's a really sad concept, and it's really bad. And I want Kika to kind of give us some high ideologies before we go into what particularly is putting the man before the children. What particularly is that? Because to other people, it could be so minute. And I hear people use it all the time, and I really just don't understand the term. I don't understand it. Is it because she gives him her attention first when they come home? Is it because what is she doing that puts him first before the children? So that's going to be the question that comes back around the board after Kika gives us her ideology, because she's making some gestures back there in the back, and I want to know what they're coming from. All right. So the floor is yours, Auntie.
Like, experience is just experience, and that's why I said I let my children form their own respect and opinion for adults, because I had the same experiences, being molested, and, somebody you're supposed to respect because they're an adult and your mom told you to respect them. So now when they doing stuff to you, whatever, you got to respect them. They tell you don't say nothing, you can't say nothing because you got to respect them. Do what they say. So that's where I said, from when I became an adult or a parent, my children will form their own opinion about a man, even him, even people. Because I've been, as a child, disrespected by adults as a child, like what the hell did I do to anybody for them to disrespect the child? So it's just based off of my experience and the things that I went through, that I will let my children, if I meet somebody and they don't like them, you know what, you don't have to like them now. Again, I don't want you to come up and be cussing them out and whatever, but if he goes from Mr. So-and-so to just so-and-so because of your level of comfortability and your level of respect for him, then I got to give it to you. As long as you're just not outright, and if you are disrespectful to him, I need to dig into what's going on, because even though, that situation with, parents putting the man before the child, I've had that happen too. So, I'm on a case-by-case thing in my life right now. Everybody is different. Every situation is different. Everything is different. So to just generalize and say kids need to respect adults, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I'm standing on kids having to, people earning respect because they have to. And when I say earn respect, I'm just, again, not saying you off the back just being disrespectful, but earn this respect and see if it's worth it, because I'm not going to have my kids listening to people who are being malicious. There are adults that are malicious to children. I've had it done. I've had teachers. Now we're talking about racism. I had teachers that were being racist to me. So I'm supposed to respect you because you're my teacher or you're an adult? Hell no, we're not doing that. And my kid's not doing that either. You're not going to be sitting there scared to run away or do something because that teacher told you to. If you look at a lot of those cases where things like that happen this week, it was from somebody who the child respected, they knew them or whatever. Again, I'm talking about experience. So that's why, I can be passionate about the level of respect with children versus adults. That's just how I feel on it. So that's why I was shaking my head, and because I can relate to a lot of what Kamisha and Tasha, the other young lady, was saying. I can relate.
And it's not that I don't relate either. I can relate to it as well. And I guess in that regards, it makes perfect sense because when I became an adult, I became a nutcase. I was a fool. I was on a fucking rampage, okay?
Because of life experience.
But Sheba, that's the thing. I don't want to have to get to that point. That's why I would be single for 10, 15, 20 years, because don't put me in that position where I have to be a nut. See, you a nut because that's what you want, but I don't want to even be in that position. My daughter would tell you right now, they be cussing me out and disrespecting me a lot, but they tell me they respect me for not bringing any and every kind of man around them. They respect me from when their friend's mama was having 5 and 6 boyfriends, they only saw maybe 2 in their life, including their father. So that's, I don't want to have to get to that point. I'm quiet and calm, but they know that I will go crazy. So to me, I'd be single. Whatever. You ain't even got to look my way. I don't give a shit. Forgive me. I didn't mean to be cussing on the thing, but I'm passionate about that when it comes to my kids, because they didn't ask to be here. So I'm not finna be out here bringing men into their life who finna, or period, nobody into their life who finna. I done lost friends because they disrespected my kid. You're not gonna disrespect them if they're not being disrespectful to you. Some people are just jealous hearted. They're just malicious because. And I'm not gonna do it. You're not coming into my kid's life, and I'm saying, oh, respect. No, we're not doing that.
Well, when I say I became a fool, I became a fool with all adults. No one was it could be exempted. The only person that ever was exempt from me eating them up was Ima. Everybody else could goddamn get it. I didn't give a 2 fucks about who you were. And the reason being is because as a child, my mama didn't fuck off. When that lady said, you keep your goddamn mouth shut, and that's just what the fuck she meant. And I was too afraid of my mother, Kamisha. And as I became an adult, we were friends, and she valued her being my friend. And I thought that was really amazing because of how strict she was when I was a kid. But it taught me boundaries. And I think a lot of times with children, a lot of them don't have boundaries. And I think they're not properly set because we don't always allow them to go through the things as children. Do you? No, we don't want children to be molested. So don't take it that way. That's not what I'm saying. But there's a lot of other things where people are just not fair. Some people are just fucked up. People are just who they are. And a lot of times as children, that's where we learn that tough skin. We develop that coming up. And now that you know boundaries with people, once you become an adult, it makes it when you have to make a change just because, it all makes sense from where you went, what the things that you went through as a child. Okay. And my mom, when Ima was, there was a lot of things going on around my life coming up. And Ima was a little bit of a hothead at times. And she was a lunatic when she got upset, and she could not be controlled. She was a nutcase, okay? And so she would talk to my Abba and say, you better get her. You better get her. Because if they do something else to her, I'm going to kick their ass, so you better fix her. And Abba said, if they not really hurting her, let it be. Because what it's going to do when she become an adult is going to help her in the long run. And Ima, I only know that because Ima told me that as an adult, that a lot of the things, she was grateful for my Abba for being able to help her to understand that concept. And it wasn't always easy for her because as mothers, we want to always protect our children. Where in life, we're not going to always be able to protect them. So not always that is right that the mate that we have should be doing half the bullshit that people does, and that they should be expressing jealousy or they're showing all these things. It's not right. No, it's not. But it does kind of help toughen the child, especially for moments that we're not able to be there with them. And we're not going to always be able to be there with them. So in just the thought process of it, if it's not bad, those are the times that we're teaching our children how to deal with those things. We get on jobs right now, bitches be trying us like left and 90 going north. And real quick, you be like, did they all just try me like that? Yeah, she just tried you. And you don't know how to handle it. That's what I mean when I say I went crazy. Man, I cut people out so bad on them jobs. Cuss those people out real bad. Me and Tasha was talking about that the other day. How I cussed a girl out on the job. Ate her ass up. Anybody can. Huh?
We both did. You talk about when I did and you did?
Well, I'm just saying like for me, I'm just saying like when I became an adult, I was like wild in that regard. Because as a kid, oh yeah. I was thinking like as a kid, I felt almost powerless because Ima said, you be respectful. And that's just what she really meant. But it really taught me because I went through those things and then I had to go home and cry about them sometimes. I mean, when I light up, it's over with. You can hear the fucking mouse piss on cotton because it would get that bad. But when I stopped to really think, I'd be like, damn, Shiba, you ain't have to do that. You didn't have to do it like that. You ain't have to eat up like that. So what it taught, like, so now I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to let anybody beat me for my cool. But I can remember when my mother told me, you just going to have to deal with shit sometime. People are silly. Yeah, she is. If she don't hurt you, if she do anything that you can't tolerate, you let me know. Because I'm putting my foot in her ass. That's what she told me. And when people tried me to a place I couldn't tolerate, I still didn't tell her. And one day I was offered to tell her. And then she lost it. And she told my Abba she was going to put her foot in somebody's ass. And my Abba said, no, you ain't going to do that. She said, I'm putting my foot in that bitch ass. You better get her ass before I get her. But now it makes sense because once I'm older, I'm able to see why that process was that way. So I think sometimes with our children, we have to let them go through some of those tough things and not even necessarily in a relationship that we're with, because you mentioned at school, Auntie, but at school, they are going to run into those teachers that are just not always going to be fair. And my children were talking about it the other day because my son, my amazing Gabe, congratulations to my Gabe, who just graduated with all those good things coming from Dillon High School up to Uptowns, up for Gabe. But that little son of a gun, that boy put me through some shit. Yes, God. That's why I have to. That's why I had to take my camera down. That boy gonna bring me a steak. Boy, don't bring me no steak when I'm on live. The steak is so good, I'm gonna drop the plate. Huh?
I said, I'm gonna come over there and eat it then.
Girl, that boy can really cook, man.
Yes, I was scraping
Yes,
the plate.
God. Woo! So, I went through it with him, and my daughters had the same. One of my daughters had the same teacher, and she was like, "Oh, you whooped him because of Miss Hurst? That lady be lying, and she be this, and she be that, and that lady ain't fair, and this, that, and other." I tell you what, I told her, "You let that be my battle, the damn fight for you." Because I show up to the school, I'm kind of nutty like that. So, you know, as long as they know I'm fighting for them, then I feel like they could remain in their child's place because that's where they belong. And children do things and see things as children do and see things a lot too. And I think sometimes we have to be able to remember that, because what might look like an attitude to you might really not be an attitude. You know what I mean? When my children come home and tell me some shit, my children coming home to tell me, they don't come to me with a half story. Don't tell me half of that damn story. You give it all to me.
Exactly.
Because now, right. So
sides.
they say, oh, this girl, right, 3. My mama says 3. His side, her side, and the truth. Because she always remember her part. He always remember his part. But right there in the middle, somebody can see what happened on both sides. And she always told me that. And it made a lot of sense as time go on. And I love that we're having this conversation, because I think a lot of parents do suffer with this. I do. I think it's a big issue that we have. And men are walking out of relationships because of the way the mother handled things. And they don't feel appreciated. Sometimes these guys are doing stupid shit. And we can't appreciate them. And so now, hopefully, the guys who are able to watch this, maybe they'll be able to see from our position, where does this put us? Because no one ever wants to hear shit over and over about their kid. And a lot of men do that because they're always complaining because the child is not theirs. So that's another situation too, that they could only ever see wrong in your children, and then they don't really see the wrong in, you know, they don't really see where they could make it better. Kamisha, you want to add something?
I just wanted to know, Auntie, when you say that respect have to be earned, what you mean by that? Because I'm one of those parents that when a child meets an adult, they definitely don't call them by their first name, because I feel that's disrespectful. So it depends on what she means by respect. It is earned. Should I be earning her child to call me Miss Reed or Kia and not my first name? You know what I mean? What exactly you mean by that? Because
me?
Auntie.
No, Auntie.
Oh, because I said that too. Okay,
oh, really?
as well.
But what you mean by the respect? Is it your kids call people by their first name?
She's talking to you, Auntie. She's talking to you.
I got a 3-year-old.
No,
So
I've never had
my
that problem.
3-year-old. She could
What I'm saying, like, an adult. I was really, you know what? I was really talking about an adult. Like, if I'm dating someone and I see some things that I don't like in them, I'll probably cut them off. So they haven't earned my respect, so I'll cut them off. But a child should always have respect. But it goes both ways. Like what's her name was saying about how adults would treat children. That's why I said sometimes people can treat your child a certain way around you. They'll act like they like them around you, and then when you're not around, they're taunting and provoking them, and then you confused, like, okay, you don't know what's going on, and then this behavior just comes out of nowhere, you know. So that's why I say it can go both ways. You just never know. Every household is different. Every situation is different. But I think a child should respect, you know, but if something's going on, they should come to me before they even lash out and disrespect them. Disrespect an adult. Come and tell me about it first so I can put them in check. That's not your job as a child. Now, if you're a young adult, 18 and over, go ahead. But as a minor, no, I'll handle that.
My daughter, whenever she has a problem with my husband is not her dad, she will come and say, Mama, now, this is what happened. This is what I said. This is what he said. And I always say, Nina, at the end of the day, you have to respect what he say. If he's not telling you to jump off the bridge or go steal or shoot somebody, it shouldn't be killing you that you got to wash a dish or two. There's no reason to get upset about it. But what I mean by as far as respect, when my children meet anybody, whether it's a teacher or a coworker, I get yes ma'am, no ma'am, Mrs. Reed, Mrs. Robinson. I would never allow my children to call a person by their first name. So that's what I meant by the respect has to be there for the children at all times. But it depends on what type of respect you were talking about.
Auntie, that was at you. She was asking you that question. You were doing something at the moment when she asked you.
No, what I said was like, yeah, when you meet them, it's respect. However, kids can form, well, my children, they can form their own opinion and their own feelings about somebody in some way. If they have been disrespected to the point where, you know, they can't focus or whatever, they can't respect this person. Again, I'm not saying like if I bring somebody and you say, hey, John, or whatever, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if the level of respect has gone away because something they did or something they said or they were disrespectful, like if I know, you know what I'm saying, if you call my daughter a bitch, my daughter ain't calling you Mr. So-and-so no more. She's gonna call you John because you disrespected her. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, when you first meet him, how you doing, Mr. John? How you doing? But once you cross that line and you on another level of disrespect or you done anything to disrespect my children, they don't have to call you Mr. no more because you don't even earn that term. Calling no child no bitch or disrespecting, or because kids should have boundaries too. Adults, everybody should have a level of being respect. I'm not the one to be talking about with their child, so you know you don't get respect. No, you gonna respect my children. I don't care. They sometimes we all disrespect each other, but I tell you what, like you have a sister and you might talk shit about your sister, you might not like your sister, but let me say something about your sister. You're gonna be ready to fight me because that's your sister. So I shouldn't be disrespecting your sister because you disrespecting the sister. I should be showing her respect because that's your sister. Like we can talk smack about her, but at the end of the day, that's your sister. So those are my children at the end of the day. And if I taught them to respect you, but you don't step outside somewhere and you're not being respectable, I'm sorry, they're not going, you don't have to. You don't have to. And I'm telling you, it's only because of experience. I've been taught to respect a neighbor. Respect that neighbor. If, you know, they tell you do this, don't do that or whatever, respect Mr. So-and-so. Well, once Mr. So-and-so did something wrong, he not Mr. no more. He not Mr. I mean, it sounds like The Color Purple, where she had to call him Mr., but you being disrespected is not. It's just how I let them express themselves.
I understand.
When they get disrespectful to me, I listen to them, and I'll be trying to figure out, well, why you being disrespectful? I'm not just going to beat them over the head. You got to respect me. You got to respect me. What happened that we losing respect? What's going on? Even in a relationship, if you lost respect for your man, what happened? Why you lost respect for this man? Did he cheat on you? Well, then you lost respect. But not saying, you know, respect, and then you doing something that you losing the respect that I have for you. That's all I'm saying. And I take it as, I know we talking about children, but that's just how I saw things. Because people used to tell me, you have to respect, you have to. And then stuff happening, you know, I'm afraid to say anything or do anything because the level of respect sometimes turns into fear, which either way you're not being respected, because there's a difference between fearing somebody and respecting somebody. But respect sometimes end up turning into fear. I hope I answered the question. And I'm sorry if I sound so...
Kamisha. No, it's okay. Like for me, and
she answered the question. She answered the question. I agree.
Oh, okay.
I agree. I have neighbors that Not right now, Kari. I have neighbors that I had to respect, but that's how I was raised. And these same neighbors gave me a whooping, whether she say I was, what's that old saying, chunking rocks, or I was climbing up in the tree and I wasn't. I received a whooping, nevertheless, but I knew to keep my distance from the lying adults. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, like I get that. I do. I get that. I understand it, and it makes perfect sense. But to me, that's what takes the parent. That's what the parent's place is. If you call my daughter a bitch anyway, you may as well get your ass out. But if she see you again, you better be Mr. Jones or whatever. That's just how I feel. If you call my daughter a bitch, I'm punching your shit. That's just the way it goes. Now, after I punch you in your shit, you can stay or you can go. And I'm going to punch you in your shit in front of my daughter. I am.
That's
so
exactly what I said.
I got her. You know what I mean?
But remember, we was...
No, go on. Go, Auntie.
But remember, so we were touching on that topic about, some women putting their men before their children.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Because they don't see or they don't know or, in my case or cases, they just ain't want to lead a man. They wanted him and he wanted them and, they didn't care what I said. They just wanted to be with the man. So to me, I felt like, okay, you putting them before me. Now, I'm not going to ask you to, put me before nobody, whatever. But so if you stand with the man or the woman is not leaving, so she don't put the man before that child. So what I'm saying is now I done chose to be with this man. He told me he did this, he did that, he called you a bitch. I chose to be with him. So do you still think the children should be respectful? Like, should he still be Mr. John after you done chose to stay with him after he been disrespectful to the child? You done put your child feelings aside. All you care about right now is what the man say. You don't even care about, what your child say. You don't care about your child's feelings. You don't. So, like, when do we say it's okay for, I'm going to love you regardless, but my children, to say the child can't, you don't have to be this way to him. All right, I get it. You don't like him, you don't want to do this, whatever. When do we get to that point? Especially if the mother's putting the tungsten or man or whatever in front of the child.
To me, that's not a child's place. To me, that child is going to respect that person, and that's why, as a mother, that's my job to fix it. See, a lot of times,
talking about we're talking about putting them before him.
But she chose to stay. Does that mean she putting them before the child? Let me say this again. Let me see. Go on, Tasha. Go on.
Now, you know what? And I okay, say if that's my husband, and now we have an unhealthy and dysfunctional household now. So we need counseling, especially if I'm going to be married or if I'm married to him. So like I said, my daughter or son would need to come and speak to me. Then I would speak to him, and then we all come in together. Something's gonna have to come to an agreement if this is gonna be my husband. If it's a boyfriend or somebody I'm dating that we done had it out, and I just don't see no way we're gonna resolve all this drama or whatever's going on, he got to go. And it has to be really, really intense or bad for him to be exited out my house. It all depends. It all depends. But I don't think it's worth staying in a relationship because some people stay for financial reasons. It's all types.
Stay for different reasons.
Yeah, for different reasons.
Like when my children. Let me give an example, because Auntie, you touched on something that happened to me a little bit. When David was a kid, and Gary had his jealous issues about the kid, right? And for a long time, I didn't realize it. Like, I knew he was different with the kids, that I realized that I just was their mother, and that I couldn't expect for him to love them the way I love them. But as long as he respected them. So one time, David had this little scratch on his chest. Then my children, they just don't tell me shit. And I think it's because I'm kind of stupid, right? So he had a scratch on his chest, and a week went by. I'm like, David, you need to put some Neosporin on that. But I never stopped long enough to mess with it myself. A couple of weeks go by some more. And I said, David, what's wrong with your chest, man? What's going on? Third week went by. What's wrong with your chest? David, what happened? Because now I see that it looks like it's going to be infected. He finally said, Abba hit me. And I went fucking crazy. Now, Gary, a big fella, 6'4", and then you got me. But I'm a bear. You know, I'm just like, but, and it was a fight, like it was ugly. That bitch pinned me up against the door. It was bad. But my baby thought I was a bear. I was a bear. And I told Gary, I said, I don't even, I'm not scared of you. Blah, blah, blah. Now, David turned 18 years old, and you can't pay him to call Gary Abba. And I never even told him to call him Abba. But now he's an adult, and it fucking rings my spirit every time he do it. Right? But he's an adult now. But as a child, he had to stay in that place. Now, Gary and I had our last fight, and the kid jumped in it because Gary was trying to kill me, right? And Gary turned around and hit the kid. To hit the kid. He didn't really get a good lick on it. And when he did that, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And at the time, David was 17 years old. And I knew that in my household, it wasn't going to be no more peace. Because now I have a man and a young man, soon to be a man, that was going to become the battle. And I didn't want to be in the middle of it. And neither did I want to be laying in the room next to my husband and my son coming in and cut his throat. I don't know that's what he would have done, but that's what I could foresee. So there was a lot of things happening throughout the time. That Gary broke David's phone one time out of his jealousy being stupid, but I didn't leave Gary alone because I wasn't leaving him alone. But I fight the battle for him. To me. Now, I don't know if that's what you guys mean when you say put the child, the man before the child. So I guess there's always those levels of things, or whatever the child might consider to be you putting that man before that child. Because I'm hearing you guys say that, but I'm not really sure if I'm as clear with what that really means. And maybe for the audience, if you guys are out there, whoever is out there, maybe you can tell us what it means that you put the man, or when a woman puts the man before the child. Because I'm not 100% clear on that.
If I have cooked dinner and I know I don't have enough to feed everybody, who should you feed first? I will feed the children first. The adults can wait. But
if you don't have enough,
feed their man first before they feed the children. That's one instance.
Okay. That's a good one. So, is it when she feeds him first? Or is it when she feeds him at all, knowing that there's not enough food? Because that's a difference. Because my man always going to get his food out of my pot first.
As long as we all eat.
As long as there's enough for everybody to eat, and I agree. Now, with my current relationship, if we don't have enough food for everybody, my husband say, "Babe, you eat, and then I'll eat whatever's left over." That's after all the children have eaten already.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, in my house, If it ain't enough for everybody, we better split that bitch down. I'm never not gonna eat. We all gonna goddamn eat. Now my man is hot. He don't want to eat. Hey, that's on you.
You gonna make it eat.
I never understood that. I am sorry, Yahweh. I can't fathom that I'm not gonna eat some of this food. I wouldn't give a fuck how small all our portions are. We all gonna eat. If we gotta split that chicken wing 6 ways, I promise.
But you have some men that'll get jealous because you went and got your child something and you didn't get him anything, but you allow him to eat the food that's at the house or whatever. I don't know, just crazy, silly stuff like that.
I've never
I don't nothing.
Right.
It could go either way.
But you know, I'm kind of silly because you bring your ass to my house with no food for everybody in that motherfucker. We got a problem when you get there. You know what I mean? You better eat your shit in the car. I can do it. You better not do it. Don't come in with no damn chicken wings and you ain't feed everybody.
Exactly.
Okay, so we got some feedback.
Yeah.
We got some feedback. Tammy said,
Go ahead.
Tammy said, I have always fed my children first. I don't care who they are. I was married for 18 years and my children ate first. And I think that's cool, but in my house, I'm plating my man food first. I wouldn't give a fuck. And I don't think people are wrong because they don't. I just don't think that it's wrong because they do. And I apologize because if it's only 4 slices of bread and there's 6 of us, we're gonna split it. And it's gonna be for sure. I'm definitely gonna get some of that food. I don't care if we all got have a smaller portion.
And if he's at work, I'm gonna put his plate aside and everybody's gonna eat.
Yeah,
I mean, I can
nobody
see if
can eat
I fixed everybody a plate and I didn't leave any food for him. Or I would tell him, oh, you know, you may want to stop and get you something because, you know, we didn't have enough, such and such. Or he got mad because I fed him hot dogs and they had steak. It depends.
Well, he should.
That's a good one now.
I've seen some silly things happen.
Huh? What you say, Misha?
I said, well, he should have came to the house early if he knew there was gonna be some steak.
You know, it's really funny though. That's a good point to bring up because I was seeing a guy. Well, I have this guy. Let me not say I was seeing him. I got this guy. Yeah, we fix it. Okay. And I just was one of those people. I'm one of those people that I don't feed my children everything I eat. But that was the way I was brought up. We ate beans and rice and cornbread. That's how we ate. So I didn't feed my children meat every day. But the guy ate a lot of meat. So I always was making meat for him. And one day he said, Sheba, why is it that you're not giving them children meat? I said, my children don't eat meat every day. He said, well, I can't eat if you don't feed the children meat every day, because that's not fair. That's the problem. That was an issue for me. Because this is why children get that notion that they are to be the same as other people. You're not always going to get the things other people get. You're not hungry and I'm not feeding you. I'm only giving him that because that's what he eats. I choose not to feed them meat every day. I think it's unnecessary to feed them meat every day. But he'd get to a point where he didn't want to eat. He was hoping he wasn't hungry. So then I started feeding the children more meat every day when I never was feeding them meat every day. But he felt some kind of way about that. How do y'all feel about that?
I think a meal consists of meat, a starch, and some vegetables. That's a meal to me.
Yeah. What about you, Tasha?
You know, some people eat according to how their diet is. You know, my children, they didn't really eat red meat because I was a vegan at that point, you know, a while ago when they were growing up. I didn't buy juice. You know, well, I bought water and I'll say fruit juices. I wouldn't buy sodas. So they said they have those same habits right now. So my ex, he drank sodas, you know. He ate red meat. They didn't. I didn't. But I would cook it for him, but we wouldn't eat it. So it varies. Each household has their own rules, their own religion, own style, whatever, you know. So, but when you go to birthday parties, you notice they feed kids hot dogs and hamburgers.
Yeah.
Everybody else have chicken, and you know, they feed you different things. So just like a newborn, you eating in different stages. Newborns eat baby food. Toddlers eat this, you know.
Right. And
like that due to religion or type, you know, your diet.
Right. I asked that question because you said you fed the children steak and you gave him a hot dog. And how does one make that determination if it's right or if it's fair or unfair? Tasha must be in a bad area. Tasha, you can hear us? Tasha.
You can hear me?
We can now. We can now.
Hello?
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, you were speaking to me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You said about the hot dog and the steak.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay. Yeah. I'm saying, like, I guess he would feel like a king should have a steak or whatever, and a child should have the hot dogs, not him having the hot dogs and them having a steak or whatever. Who knows? Every day is different. I could have been in a different mood. Maybe I was being vindictive towards you. Maybe you did something I ain't like. So now I'm being spiteful. You know? That's why I say it varies. I mean, you know?
Yeah.
With me.
I was in that situation.
Now I'm being spiteful.
I was in that situation. I wasn't being spiteful. It was just I was being lazy. I didn't want to cook anything else, and it was just enough food for the children to eat. So when he came home, he was like, "Everybody ate all the food," and my response was, "Well, come on, baby, let's go get something to eat." That was my response. We only had enough to feed the children.
Mm-hmm. And
what about you, Auntie? What you think about that? Auntie. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Is it frozen? I think it's frozen.
No, she ain't frozen. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. My bad. I don't know what happened. Well, as far as a man eating first?
Yeah, all of that. A man's eating
That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, what you feed
everybody eat at the same time. Everybody plate is fixed at the same time. I'm fixing everybody plate at the same time. Nobody eating before nobody. We all gonna eat together. Period.
You can't fix everybody's plate at the same time.
What about a paper plate? Some men don't want you to give them a plate and paper plate.
Mine ain't eating off my paper plate.
I don't think so.
Go on, Auntie, go on.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just, I've never had that issue as far as I know, because I know I can't fix everybody plate, but everybody eating at the same, like we all getting the same thing at the same time. Nobody is getting ahead of nobody else. I mean, I guess at the time when I was dating, my children were small, so I wouldn't give them the breast and give their dad or whoever I'm with the drumstick because they were kids.
Right.
Now, if he wants the drumstick, then you get the drumstick and then the kids will split the breast. But, I've never really I don't even remember that being in my household being a problem, is who eating first. So that's something I'm not, I can't relate to really.
Right. Okay. That was good enough. And Tasha said something about a
And
paper plate.
if
Mine ain't eating on the paper plate.
I've heard. I didn't have that problem though. He didn't care what it was on. It could have been on the newspaper. He was grateful, So, but as in eating dinner, if we're all at the table together, it's different. But if he in the room and he want his plate first, or that's how we would determine who's getting their food first. Like, okay, are you fixing the kids first? You fixing his first? Or we all at the dinner table and we're all eating together? That's what I consider together. But if y'all eat, everybody in different rooms, who's gonna get the plate first? Like every household is different. Everybody has their rules and their morals and values on how they do things.
Right.
So,
and I don't know if it's always a right or wrong. I think I don't like to use that term right or wrong. I like the good versus the bad, because I think that it makes it I think to say that something is right or wrong is to set an expectation of someone as to how they should deal with it. I think that it's the good or bad is because of however it's reflected on other people. I think that sometimes when we have our own thought processes on things, we tend to bestow them on other people, regardless as to how that person sees it or how that person feels about it or how it affects that person. Some people don't realize that the way that they've always done things don't always work. And it's not always good that things turn out that way. So I'm grateful to each of you who you guys took your time out to come on and have this conversation with us. Do you guys have any closing remarks? Because we're gonna start making our way to the end of this conversation for the evening. Do you have any closing remarks?
I want to say thank you, Sheba, for having me. But I wanted to say that we as parents have to remember to be mindful, even though we may lose respect for our man, to be mindful of not displaying it or verbally saying it around the children, because we can be forgiving. We can understand and forgive as adults, but children are not that easy to forgive. If you have a man and y'all fall out, the child is gonna the child is gonna have an issue with him. But you and the man made amends. The child is not gonna understand that. So that's all I wanted to say.
Tasha?
Like I said, now my children are adults. So as children, I just feel like they should, always show respect. And if they do have a problem, they should come to me or another adult and tell them what's going on, and then we'll handle it from there. But as a child, they should stay in a child's place and have respect for that person. And if that person disrespects them, come to me, and we'll go from there. Like I said, jealousy issue.
Yeah. What about you, Auntie?
Yes, thank you for having me and the conversation. That's about it. I mean, I enjoyed the conversation with everyone, which is not something I usually like to talk about things, but that's good to be able to talk to everybody and get everybody's opinion and everybody's different experiences and everything. Yeah. But that's it. I don't really have nothing else to say.
Okay. Well, I do thank you guys, and I've enjoyed this hour and a half that we've had sitting here talking to each other, and I hope that all the information and references that we share from our ideologies and our feelings can help someone when they have that need, or this will be one of those go-to videos where a person is facing some of these issues that by right now might not really be affecting them, and that they might think it's necessary to learn something different. Hopefully we've done that for you, and hopefully this will be a place that you could come back and find something that we said that was beneficial to you. I do, by my definition, think that children should always be respectful in spite of, but I do overstand it when people make decisions not to live that same thought process in their lives because their experiences are different in situations. And my heart goes out for those parents, for those children whose parents don't pay attention to them enough, and things are happening to them that should not be happening to them. Rather, it's to be abused mentally, which is kind of the worst type of abuse in my thought process. Physical abuse is bad, but at least those bruises do heal. And sexual abuse is one of those abuses that don't really ever go away. So I'm hoping that we have some parents who might not be paying attention today or might not have paid attention yesterday, that now is going to find their moment to pay attention to their children, because our children grow up, and when you fuck up children, you fuck up adults. And now we have to be in the same world with these fucked up people. And those children, those adults are going to have children, and then those children are going to be fucked up. So can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, someone said they couldn't hear me. That's what the message came up. So I'm hoping that we can get together again on a panel of this type, and have these same type of conversations, even if it's about something separate that relates to families, because the goal in family is to become that unit and to be better about being what we never thought that we had to be, or being better at what we never thought that we could get better at as parents. So once again, thank my panel, Auntie Kika, my friend Tasha, my friend Kamisha. Thank you guys for coming to join us in for this evening. Tasha, I wish I had asked you to sing a song. Is it just right on too close? Tasha can really sing. The girl got a voice on her like OMG. And you don't want to do it. I'm sorry, I put her on the spot. Because that's what I'm
I just didn't know. I don't know what to sing. Anybody?
Yeah, I'm just a little small snippet. I don't know. I'm just thinking. I don't know. I don't know. Think about something.
Anybody think of a song? I don't know. Gospel.
What would be? Gospel's always an easy go-to.
Huh?
I say gospel's always an easy go-to. You don't have to sing the whole song. Just let us hear a verse.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
We can hear you. We can
hear you. My screen went dark because somebody trying to call me, but oh wow.
I
know I put you right there on the spot.
Huh?
Just sing Amazing Grace.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's all. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh my God, Sheba, I am on the spot, honey. I love it. I wasn't prepared.
I know.
But now I found.
Say it, girl.
It was great that made me home. Okay.
Love it. Thank you for giving us that sound.
She was raised in somebody's church.
Yes, she was. That girl can sing. Was. I love to hear her sing. But so after Tasha, take us out with that. So what more can we say? But once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you here next time on Talk Tuesdays with the Happy Bug. That's me. And I am Bathsheba, your Happy Bug. I'm the motivational speaking poet. So we'll see you next time. Thank you once again for tuning in. And the Happy Bug is signing off. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye. Thank you.